Hey everybody, thank you so much for clicking on my channel and for joining me for this conversation regarding the Scott sisters, Tamika and Latosha from Escape. So yesterday I did a video about the Rocky Bivens and Tasha K interview. And after that, I saw that there was a lot of hype going on YouTube regarding the Scott sisters. And so coming to find out, I see that Tamika Scott and Latosha Scott had both posted videos regarding the mess, the Scott sister mess, the Escape mess, the $30,000 mess. And I was just like, this is insane. This is absolutely insane, because a month ago or a couple of months ago, nobody was even thinking about Escape. And now Escape has become the huge topic of conversation. And it's just unbelievable. I'm an only child. I have no siblings. And all my life, all I ever wanted was siblings, especially a sister, because I always imagined that sisters had a really special, unique bond, that sisters were sometimes like each other's best friends, that when you have a sister, you always have somebody in your corner. Even if y'all are not getting along, even if y'all are not, super duper close, the fact that y'all are tied by blood and that y'all are siblings automatically gives you somebody on your side. If you have absolutely nobody in your corner, you would think that a sibling would be that one person that will always ride or die for you, no matter what. Even if y'all don't talk, y'all don't hang, y'all are not that super close, but because y'all are siblings, y'all are always going to be there for one another. So I'm looking at the Scott sisters and I'm thinking to myself, maybe it was a blessing for me to be an only child, because if this is what your own blood sister will do to you, then you don't need any enemies. So let's get into it. Latosha Scott. So Latosha Scott, as I said in my previous video about Rocky Bivens and the Tasha K interview, I'm watching the Escape show right now. Escape and SWV, the Queen of R&B. I'm watching that show right now. And I don't know if Latosha is aware of this, but she really comes off extremely sour and negative. And I'm just like, if you're this miserable doing a show, why are you even there? Why are you even there? So in her little video, she kind of makes it seem as if she was kind of forced to do this show, but let's get into it. But she just seems extremely miserable. Negative Nancy. Whenever she walks into a room, you can just feel the mood of the room shifting. Anyways, let's talk about it. So she starts off her video promoting her gospel album, because above everything else, you gotta promote your stuff. You gotta be all about the bag. And so she talks about her gospel album. That's the only time that like she is genuinely happy, is when she's talking about her gospel album. I think it's coming out April the 7th. I thought it was already out, but I think it's coming out April the 7th. So she promotes that right off the top. So Tamika had said that the gospel album was just for Latosha. And on the show, they come from that angle that Latosha wants to do her own solo project. She's trying to break away from the group, or not necessarily break away, because Candy had said that Latosha never really wants to leave Escape officially, because Escape is her safety net. So, but she'll distance herself when she's trying to do her own little project. So on the show, they make it seem as if this is 100% Latosha Scott's project, this gospel album, that she went out there looking for a solo deal and she got one, and this is all her doing. Well, in her video, her YouTube video, Latosha says that the idea of the gospel album came from both her and her sister Tamika, that they both wanted to do a Scott sister gospel album. And she says that somewhere along the line, you see, okay, another thing about Latosha, just like with her husband Rocky, when she talks in some areas and some topics that she covers, it's really hard to understand exactly what she's saying, because it's like she's saying something, but not really. You know, she's saying something without saying something. Because Rocky Bivens, in his interview with Tasha K, when it came down to the real nitty gritty questions, it's like he either completely denied any wrongdoing, or if he tried to give an explanation to justify his actions, it really wasn't making any sense. And so I was like, I don't know if I'm just not computing what they're saying, or if they're really not saying anything at all. So there were moments when I was watching Tasha's video and I was like, maybe I'm just too dumb to understand exactly what she's talking about, or maybe she ain't talking about nothing at all. So her and her sister Tamika were supposed to do this album together. Somewhere along the way, it didn't go the way that it was supposed to go, and so it ended up being just Latasha. But she really doesn't explain why Tamika fell off the project. But in Tamika's video, because Tamika posted her video after her sister, or in response to her sister's video. In Tamika's video, she said that they were going to do a gospel album together. And when it came down to the money, that's where they fell apart. Because she said that when she told her sister Latasha that she wanted 50-50 profits on the album, Latasha didn't like that idea. And the reason why she didn't like that idea was because she says Latasha, she sees herself out of the two, between the two sisters, and maybe like out of the whole group Escape, she sees herself as the one that's most involved with music. While the other people, like the other members of Escape, are doing reality TV shows. Tamika was doing a cookbook, and she was also doing some plays. You know, she was acting. She was the only one that stayed true to the music. And so she sees herself as the one that has the most say so in how the music goes. So when her sister wanted 50-50 profits, Latasha didn't want that. She didn't agree with that, because I guess she saw herself as the one that was going to be writing the songs, producing, or helping with writing, helping with producing, or however, I don't know how it was going to go. But she saw herself as like, wait a minute, I'm the one that does the music. So why would it have to be 50-50? Because I'm going to be the one, you know, creating the music, or writing most of the songs, or being most involved with the production of the songs. So she didn't like that. And so they fell apart there. Latasha got really, really upset. She was all up in her feelings, and I guess when they couldn't agree on the profit situation, Tamika backed out. I think that's how, see, that made sense to me. But Latasha, either she didn't go into it, or she didn't explain it to the way that I could understand when she talked about why it ended up being just her doing the gospel album and not both her and her sisters. She said that she really didn't want to do the show, but Tamika convinced her that it was a great way for them to promote their other projects. So she talks about how she really didn't want to do this reality TV show because she don't get along with nobody, and Tamika convinced her to do it because it was a way for them to, you know, promote their other projects. She was going to have an opportunity to promote her music. Tamika will have an opportunity to promote her cookbook and whatever else she had going on, etc. The reason why Latasha brought this up was because Tamika pushes this narrative that she has always sacrificed so much for her sister, because she was so desperate to have a close sisterly relationship with Latasha and to also be close to their mother. So she would do whatever Latasha wanted her to do in order to keep up her relationship with her sister. So Latasha is trying to tell us that it wasn't just her sacrificing and doing stuff for me. I did things for her. I did this show, this reality TV show, The Queens of R&B, for her, because I initially never wanted to do this. Had her sisters back when they threatened. Okay, so she talks about how this is another one of her examples of how she's done things for her sister, and it's not just Tamika doing things for her. In the group Escape, when Tamika got pregnant, they wanted to kick her out of the group, and I think Tamika had said that. I forgot what Tamika had said, but I'll get more into it when I get to her video. Tamika had said that when she had gotten pregnant, they wanted her to either get rid of the pregnancy, terminate her pregnancy so that she can stay in the group, or you can have your baby, but you're not going to be in the group. So Latasha said that when they threatened to kick her out of the group, and I don't know who they are. Is it they, the other members of Escape, or they, the powers that be, like the music production company? I don't know who they are. So Latasha says in her video that when they threatened to kick Tamika out of the group, She said that she was going to go with her sister. So if Tamika goes, I go. So she just wanted to prove that I've also done things and I've also sacrificed for Tamika. It's not just a one-way street. The talk about the $30,000. She denies it. She absolutely denies that she took the $30,000. She was like, how's that going to look that I'm taking money from my sister? And then she said that after this whole $30,000 fiasco, they were still doing projects, going on tour with Escape and without Escape, because there was a time when they were called Escape 3 because Candy no longer wanted to be a part of the group. And so when Candy left, Tiny left, and so it was just the two of them. So she said that after the $30,000 situation, Tamika and her, and I guess the other members of Escape, I don't know at what point Tiny and Candy left, but they were making more money. They had a tour where they made like millions of dollars. So they were making more money after this whole $30,000 royalty situation. So she was trying to say, she's so hung up on this $30,000 that I supposedly or allegedly stole from her. But after this situation, we went out and we made even more money. Kind of like, why is she tripping over $30K when she ended up making millions of dollars after that? So in a way, it's kind of like admitting her guilt about the $30,000, because it's like, okay, so what if I took this money from you? You ended up making a whole lot more money after that. That's what I'm hearing when she's talking about how much they made after the fact. Claims that she addressed the group on the show, but it was edited out. So she says that she had confronted everybody on the show about the issues that she had with them, everybody in Escape. But for whatever reason, they edited it out. I didn't understand what she meant addressing her issues with the group. Like, what issues did you have other than you don't like them, you think you're better than them, you sing better than them, and you want to do your own solo thing? I don't know what other issues there could possibly be. But she said that she had addressed her issues with the group, but the show cut it out. But because she said Candy started crying, and then when Candy started crying, she needed a moment. She wanted production to stop filming. And so Candy started crying, so they stopped filming. And next thing you know, that whole scene of her addressing the group was edited out. She made fun of Candy crying a lot. Now, we all know that Candy is extremely emotional, and she can cry at the drop of a dime. And I thought that was kind of mean and immature for her to attack Candy like that. She attacked her about her crying. She made fun of her crying. She made fun of her singing because she would show clips throughout the video of Candy not really singing at her best. Candy sounding absolutely horrible. And there was a long clip of that. I'll get to that. But there was like a long clip of Candy on the Real Housewives of Atlanta where she thought she was really bringing the house down, but she sounded horrible. And Latasha played that entire clip. It's just like the meanness, the hatred, the cattiness. It's unbelievable. Oh yeah. So I'm already there. Yeah. So she showed that clip, and Candy can sing. Okay. I have said in my reviews of Queens of R&B, I had said that I don't really care for Candy when she sings other music, but when she sings Escape songs, Candy can sing. She sounds great. When we saw them rehearsing on the Queens of R&B, Candy sounded absolutely amazing. Candy can sing. So I don't know who you think you're fooling, Latasha, by showing that clip of her singing really bad. I'm pretty sure all singers have had a bad moment at least once in their life. So then the question was asked, why is Rocky an Escape's business? And she said because Rocky has been a part of Escape since 1995 when Candy asked him to be their manager, to manage the group. So Latasha made it really clear. They're complaining about my husband, but Candy was the one that wanted him to manage us. Rocky responsible for she says that her husband was responsible as their manager. He was the only manager, because I'm assuming they've had several. He was the only manager that got him a tour where they made over $1 million or millions of dollars. I don't know how much it was, how many millions, but it was only under Rocky's guidance that they were able to do a tour where they profited that much money. Rocky was never paid, but Tiny broke him off a little something. So she talks about how, the group didn't pay Rocky for his work. He did so much for Escape, but he wasn't getting paid. I didn't understand that at all. But Tiny, out of the kindness of her heart, out of everybody in the group, it was Tiny that gave him a little something, something. And I'm thinking to myself, What does that even mean? Rocky doesn't seem like somebody that would do anything without getting paid and making sure that his dividends were met. He doesn't seem like someone who would get out of bed and do a whole lot of work for nothing, even if it is for the benefit of his wife. So either, he's living with an escape member, so whatever money she makes, he makes. So I guess she's trying to say outside of that, he never got paid like an official manager fee or a manager income or a manager salary. But why wouldn't he? He just doesn't seem like someone who would work for free. But that's what she said. So when she talks about how he didn't really get paid by anybody other than Tiny when she felt sorry for him, it kind of gives credence to what Rocky's mistress, Unique, said in her interview with Tasha K, because in that interview, Unique said that it always seemed like Rocky really didn't have his own money, because I guess there were things that she wanted him to buy or spend money on, and he always gave her a hard time about it because it was, my wife is going to notice this is missing. My wife is going to know what I'm doing with the money. So it kind of seemed as if Latasha controlled the money because it was her money. She was earning it, and he couldn't just spend it willy-nilly, and he didn't have his own money, I guess, because, Latasha said he didn't get paid from anybody. So it kind of gives credence to what the mistress said, that it always seemed like Rocky was broke. And as she ends her video by saying, since day one, it's been an attack on Tasha. So her sister made a video in response to all of that. Tamika's video, she starts off by saying that she really doesn't want to do this video because it's her sister and it's very messy, nasty family business. She doesn't want to do this video, but she has no choice because she says her sister went out there and lied a lot about a lot of stuff, including her husband. And she wanted to clear the air. She wanted to, clear her name and defend herself. Says that Latasha is calling her a liar online, and she doesn't like that, so she has to address it. So because Jermaine Dupri's book said that Latasha broke up the group, according to Candy, Tamika lied on Candy to protect her sister. Okay, so that whole situation about why Tamika went around telling people that Candy was the biggest hoe in Atlanta, and that, she was hopping into bed with anybody that wanted it, and she was just this really big, she was out there, okay? And the reason why Tamika was saying these things about Candy, because in Jermaine Dupri's book, he alludes to Candy blaming Latasha for breaking up the group Escape. So that made Latasha feel some kind of way, so she wanted to retaliate, and I guess she's just too weak to do her own dirty work, and she knows how desperate her sister was to be in her good graces, so it was a perfect opportunity to take advantage of her sister and use her sister to attack Candy because Candy says something that Latasha didn't like. That is so down low dirty and mean and horrible. I mean, Latasha, if this is true, Latasha, girl, you're using your sister to attack your castmate because she says something that you didn't agree with. Instead of you just letting it slide off your back, like, okay, Candy said that I broke up the group, but I didn't. But, she can have her say, she can say whatever the hell she wants to say, but I didn't break up Escape. Instead of just, leaving it at that, you're going to go to take these great lengths to manipulate your sister to attack your former friend and a group mate. That's just beyond evil. So according to Tasha, because Tamika lied for her, okay, so this is another thing. So she is taking, she's taking something that her sister did for her, which was to lie on Candy for her. Tamika lied about Candy for Latasha. So Latasha is taking that lie that Tamika told about Candy and using it against her by saying, well, if she lied about Candy, then she must lie about me stealing her $30,000. She's just a downright liar. And it's like, girl, but you made her lie about Candy. It's just beyond. You make your sister lie about Candy, and then you take that and use it against your sister to prove that she's lying about you stealing $30,000 from her. Unbelievable. Okay, so Tamika says that she's not going to apologize because Latasha wants an apology. Latasha wants Tamika to apologize about accusing her of stealing, and Tamika says she's not going to apologize because she's not lying about that. Rocky sending threats. Okay, so Tamika talks about how she had been getting these anonymous threats, and the threats were basically blackmailing her, saying that if she either didn't recant what she said about the 30K, or if she didn't apologize to her sister about the 30K, that her video, because she had done a video, with her, being intimate with someone. I'm assuming her husband, but she really didn't say. She did a video and of the adult persuasion with whoever, her partner, I'm assuming whoever, and she gave the video to her sister to hold for safekeeping. And so she had been receiving these anonymous threats on her phone saying that if she didn't apologize or take back what she said, that this video is going to be exposed. And then coincidentally, or is it, Rocky Bivens is on the Tasha K show talking about how 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 Tamika had sent him nude photos of herself, or were the threats that they were going to expose her nude photos? Well, whatever the threats were was exactly the same stuff that Rocky and Latasha were talking about. We're saying about her. So this person was threatening her with either these nude photos or this sex tape, and then here's Latasha and Rocky talking about nude photos and sex tape. So obviously it was them that were threatening her or blackmailing her from these anonymous numbers. And this person was also threatening to expose Todd by saying that Todd was performing fellatio on a trans person, I guess on a trans woman. And lo and behold, Rocky's talking about the same exact thing on the Tasha K show. And then something was said about Tiny. The only thing that Rocky said about Tiny on the Tasha K show was that Tiny had got into some trouble, but didn't say exactly what. So I don't know what they were alluding to with Tiny. I don't know if it was a whole sex trafficking scandal that her and T.I. got caught up in, or what was going on. I don't know what it was about Tiny, but all the things that she was being threatened with and blackmailed with were the same exact things that Rocky was talking about, to anybody that would listen. So Rocky's allegations about her, Todd, and Tiny are not true. She categorically denies any of these things that Rocky's accusing her of. She did not send nude photos to her brother-in-law. Todd did not perform fellatio on a trans woman, and I don't know what the allegations were about Tiny. So she's accusing them of extorting her. Then there's a clip that she shows of her talking to Tiny's mother, Miss Diane, and Miss Diane shed some light on the royalty situation. So Miss Diane came across a company that if you were an artist and you signed up with this company, they were able to find royalties for you, royalties that record companies or whoever never paid. They were able to get these royalties to you. So she told everybody in Escape about this company, had them all, apply for it or sign up for it. And I'm not exactly sure how. I wasn't even though she was explaining it, I didn't understand exactly how Tamika's application got in Latasha's hands. So I don't know if Miss Diane had given it to Latasha in good faith, thinking that, okay, this is your sister, so you're obviously going to do the right thing and either fill it out for her correctly or give it to her to fill out, or if Tamika herself gave the application to her sister, or if the royalty company sent both Tamika and Latasha's application to the same address, and Latasha got a hold of it and filled it out for Tamika fraudulently. Whatever the situation was, Latasha got her hands on Tamika's application and she forged Tamika's signature, and she used her own address of where to send the royalties to, and she listed herself as Tamika's manager. And so that's how the royalties were coming to her, instead of going directly to Tamika. And Tamika had no idea that these payments were coming out for her. Whatever the situation was, according to Tamika, and also substantiated by Miss Diane, Latasha forged her sister's signature in order for these royalties to come to her address. And that's how she ended up with the $30,000, according to Tamika. Um, show so she even showed the contract. She showed the application or the contract that Latasha had signed using her name, fake signature, but it was Latasha's address and Latasha's email, and everything Miss Diane did was changed by Latasha. So I guess Miss Diane put in the information correctly, and then when it was time for them to fill it out or to confirm or whatever, Latasha got a hold of Tamika's application and changed everything. Tamika says that she said there was $30,000 on the show, but it was actually way more than that. But it was like a minimum of $30,000 that she claims her sister stole from her. Rocky threatened to expose a sex tape with Tamika in it. So she talks about how she, like I said, she did this sex tape in 2016. She didn't want to keep it in her house. But was it with your husband, Tamika? Who was it with? Because I was under the impression that she was married to her husband. They've been married for a very, very long time because she has adult daughters. And I thought all of her kids are from her husband. And they've been together for, I don't know. But she did a sex tape. She gave it to her sister to hold for safekeeping. Then after that, I don't know, maybe the next year or something, she went back to her sister to get the tape. Latasha said somebody stole it from her safe. And all of a sudden now, Rocky is threatening to expose her, or this person, this anonymous person, is threatening to expose the sex tape unless she takes back what she said about Latasha. So who else would have information or be privy to this sex tape other than Latasha and Rocky? I mean, these people, Latasha and her husband Rocky, they're trying to control the situation and be very manipulative and conniving, but they're doing a very, very poor job of it. I mean, they're exposing themselves left and right. So Tamika, okay, so we talked about that. She talks about how both sisters had this Motown gospel deal, but what happened was she backed out when her sister didn't agree to go 50-50 on the profits. Latasha removed Tamika's image and replaced it with her own. So I was familiar with what she was talking about. Whenever you're watching a show and on your remote control, when you hit the down arrow, the people who are on the show, their images will come up. The actors, I think even the director, their images will come up. And I don't know what show she was talking about, and I don't know how Latasha could have manipulated that. But somehow or another, instead of Tamika's picture, it's Latasha's picture with Tamika's name. But how would Latasha manipulate that and control that? I thought that was done either by, the cable service provider or the network. I didn't understand that. Calls Latasha and Rocky evil people. Latasha used her sister's loyalty against her. Yeah, she did. Yeah, when I said before how she was using the lie that Tamika told about Candy, now she's using that against her and saying, "Oh, you're a liar, so you must be lying about the $30,000." She says that she forgives her sister and she expects her sister to apologize to her children. Tamika apologizes to the fans for all of this mess, putting all this mess out there because, we just wanted to watch some really good reality TV and get an insight on what goes on behind the scenes of a recording artist or recording group. And instead, we got front row seats to the family drama. So she apologizes to her fans for all of that. Now, my final thoughts on this whole fiasco. With sisters like this, who needs enemies? And Latasha, there are some women out there who, for whatever reason, they are so blind to the wrongdoings of their men. And Latasha is one of those women. Their men can do no wrong. And they take this whole Bible stuff where it says in the Bible, that the man is the head of the household and, women have to submit to their men, and et cetera, et cetera. They take that to heart, that their men are leading them straight to hell and they don't even realize it. Because like, oh, that's my man, that's my husband, he's the leader of my household, he's the head of my household, so I need to follow and obey him because that's what the Bible says. But girl, he's leading you straight to hell. Don't you see these flames all around you and you're still following this man? Can you please wake up and smell the coffee, Latasha? I mean, this person, now obviously there was already tension between her and her sister, I think maybe way before Rocky came along. I don't know, but when Rocky showed up on the scene, I think he saw that there was tension between the sisters, or he created that tension between the sisters, and he was going to use that to his advantage, because abusive men, not even like physically abusive, but just emotionally, mentally abusive men, the first thing that they try to do is they try to separate you from the people that really care, truly care and love you, because they know that these people are going to be able to see clearly because they're not blinded by love. And so they want to remove you from the people that can see clearly for you. And so so there's this rift now between her and her sister. I don't know exactly how the mom feels about Rocky, or how Rocky feels about the mother. I have no idea. But to see Latasha being manipulated by this man and believing everything and anything he says, it appears like she's believing anything and everything that he says, and she's going along. First of all, let's talk about the sex tape. So your sister gives you a tape, okay? And it's very intimate, right? And she wants you to keep it for her, right? To keep it. She gives it to you for safekeeping. Your husband should never, ever, ever, ever had known that there was that such a tape even existed. That should have been a secret between sisters. He should never had even known that such a tape existed. You should never had even told your husband that you were in possession of this tape. But not only did you tell your husband, but you gave it to your husband, and who knows if he even looked at it to see his sister-in-law, on that tape. And then for him to use that tape against her. And then Tamika showing the receipts, showing the copies of the contracts that had her fake signature on it, but it had Tamika's address, etc., etc. Man, to take money from your own sister when you were getting money yourself. You're getting money yourself. And now you're going to steal from your sister. I'm just like, y'all, I don't know if it's how they were raised. If their mom didn't raise them to love each other, to be there for one another, or if this is just how Latasha is. I have no idea. But there's no way that I can watch this show, Queens of R&B, listen to Latasha, Rocky, and Tamika, and find any redeeming quality in Latasha and Rocky. There's just no way. There's just no way, because even when you hear them talk, the things that they say does not make any sense. The things that they say doesn't sound right at all. Anyways, I've kept y'all way too long. The videos are out there. I'm pretty sure if you're watching this, you've already seen the videos. I'm just curious if there's anybody out there that's like a huge Latasha supporter, a huge Latasha fan, and believes Latasha wholeheartedly. I really would like to know, like, why? Why? Maybe there's something that I'm missing. Thank you so much for joining me. I really do appreciate it. On your way out, don't forget to rate the video. If you like this content, go ahead and subscribe, and I'll definitely talk to you later. Bye.